Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever wondered what makes one sentence feel kind of flat while another one just jumps right off the page? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to one simple but super powerful type of word. Today, we are cracking open the secret ingredient for more vivid writing. We're talking about adverbs.
Just look at this right here. The difference one little word makes is huge. On the left, you've got a basic statement. He moves down the street. It's fine, right? But it's kind of boring. Now add one word and bam! On the right, you can actually see it. You can feel that motion. And that little magic word, quickly, well, that's an adverb. It's the secret ingredient that really brings the whole thing to life.
Okay, so what is an adverb really? If we want to get the most out of them, we got to understand what their job is first. What do they actually do inside a sentence? Let's dive in and find out.
So, at their very core, adverbs are what we call modifiers. You can think of them as the artists in a sentence. Their whole job is to add color and detail and precision to the other words, specifically verbs, adjectives, and, sometimes even other adverbs.
Here is a fantastic little trick for spotting an adverb or just knowing when you need one. Think of them as the little detectives of your sentence. They're always answering these 4 key questions. How was the action done? When did it happen? Where did it happen? And how often does it happen? If a word answers one of those, chances are it's an adverb.
And you know what? It gets even more specific. Adverbs aren't just this one big, messy group of words. They actually come in 5 main types, and each one has a very particular job to do. So let's meet the 5 faces of adverbs. First up, we've got adverbs of manner. Now, these are probably the ones you're most familiar with. They tell us how an action is done. So we're talking words like slowly, loudly, or carefully. They all describe the specific way something is happening.
Next up are adverbs of time. These guys are all about pinning down exactly when something happens. Is it happening now? Did it happen yesterday? Is it happening soon or tomorrow? These words give all our actions a really clear time frame.
Then, of course, we have adverbs of place. And as you can probably guess, they tell us where the action is happening. Words like here, there, outside, everywhere. They basically give the action a location, so we know where we are.
Now, how often does something happen? Well, that's the job of adverbs of frequency. These words help us set up a pattern or a habit. Do you do something always? Never? Maybe just sometimes or often. They give us that sense of routine. And finally, we have adverbs of degree. I like to think of these as the volume knobs for your words. They tell you how much or to what extent. Was something very interesting? Are you almost finished? Or was it quite good? They're all about turning the intensity up or down.
Okay, so we've met the 5 main types. Now let's get down to the practical stuff. How do we actually make these adverbs, and where in the world do we put them in a sentence? Let's take a look at the mechanics.
The most common way to make an adverb is actually beautifully simple. You just take an adjective, like quick or slow, tack on ly to the end, and there you have it. You've got an adverb, quickly or slowly. It's a formula that works like most of the time. But, and this is a big but, you have to be careful because while that ly rule is a fantastic shortcut, it definitely does not work for everything. And there are some really common exceptions you've got to watch out for.
And here are some of the big ones. Some of the most common adverbs we use in English don't follow that ly pattern at all. Words like fast, well, and early are just adverbs all on their own. I mean, you'd never say he runs fastly, right? It just sounds wrong. You'd say he runs fast.
Now, this shows off one of their greatest superpowers, their flexibility. Just look at how the word quickly can move all over the place in this sentence. You can stick it at the beginning, put it in the middle, or tack it on at the end. And all three of these sentences are perfectly correct. This lets you play with the rhythm and the emphasis of your writing. It's pretty cool.
And just like their cousins, the adjectives, adverbs can also be used to compare things. So he runs fast, but she runs faster, and someone else runs the fastest. Now, for those ly adverbs, you just use more and most. So carefully, more carefully, and most carefully. All right, that's enough theory. I think you've got the basics down cold. So you know what that means. It's time for a quick test. Think you can spot the adverb in a sentence? Let's find out. Okay, take a close look at this first one. Which word in here is describing the verb slept? Come on, which word tells us how the baby slept? Yes, if you said peacefully, you are 100% correct. It's telling us how the baby slept. That's an adverb of manner. Great start. Okay, round 2. Let's try another one. Now, this one might be a little bit trickier, so remember what we said about those exceptions. Which word is modifying the verb arrived? That's it. You got it. The adverb is early. It's an adverb of time that's telling us when they arrived. And it's one of those key examples that doesn't end in ly. Nice job. And for our final test, take a look at this sentence. Which word is telling us about the frequency of the action watch? In other words, how often do we watch television? The adverb is rarely. It's an adverb of frequency, telling us exactly how often we watch. Fantastic work on that little test. So, after all that, what are the really important things you should walk away with? Let's do a quick recap and put these powerful new tools right into your personal writing toolkit.
So let's boil it all down. Adverbs are your best friend for adding detail and precision and just flavor. Remember, they describe actions by answering those key questions: how, when, where, and how often. They give you the flexibility to turn a really simple statement into a vivid story. So the only question left is, how are you going to use them to make your own writing more powerful?